What is up, Facebook land? I always say that. Timothy Wenger here from The Man Effect, bringing you live another interview with my man Shay Ryan. So, we're going to try bringing him on here. And then we're going to jump in and talkie. So, how's everyone doing today? What's going on? You know, all that awesome sauce. Ba-ba-ba-ba-boom. It's been a while since I've done a live video. So, I'm a little behind. It's kind of fun to do one again, not gonna lie. But if you can see, it's nice and bright. The day is yet young, and we're gonna rock it. But if you're watching, I see someone's watching. I don't know who you are. If you're watching, just hit me up in the comments below. Let me know. Say what's up. Tell me how your day's going while we hang out and wait for Shay to get here. It's nothing too cray-cray. Bom, bom, bom. Just hitting him up. We'll see what's going on. If you aren't aware, I started The Man Effect back in 2014, asking everyone the question, if you were to describe what it means to be a man in one word, what would it be and why? I asked hundreds of people this question, and it's led me to here today. It's been pretty fun. But I've been working hard on the website, and it's been fun to see it grow. Yeah, I'm loving it. Just reaching out to Shay here, seeing what's going on. Sometimes we run into bumps here on the live land. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I am human. And here he is. There we go. Hey, hey!
Hey, Timothy, how are ya?
Good. How are you doing today, Shay?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks, man.
Good. Well, I'm glad you made it. I was aimlessly talking. It was fun. I'm sure lots of people really enjoyed that. Yeah, super glad to have you on. Everyone who's just tuning in now, Timothy Wenger here from The Man Effect, and this is Shay Ryan, and he's the man. That's what I hear. Anyway, I was recommended by someone very close to me that Shay has a great story and that I should interview him, and so here we are. Shay, why don't you...
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Timothy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Super glad we had some scheduling conflicts, and so I'm glad we were finally able to make it happen. But why don't you do just like a little intro of kind of like where you're at in life, what you're doing? Because you were in the U.S., but when I came, you left, and then now I left, and yeah. Why don't you just give us a little paint the picture for where you're at in life?
Sure. Yeah, thanks very much again for having me on here, man. It's a real pleasure to chat with you and
Yeah.
you know, discuss some of these nuances in our current day around manhood and masculinity. And it's a real joy for me to continue that sort of conversation with other men. So
Yeah.
I'm currently back in Australia, in the country that I grew up in, and I mean, I left Australia at 17 to live in the States and study there, and have recently been back touring with a film screening that I was a part of that was released at the beginning of the year, and now that's all finished up. I'm glad to be home in my home country with friends and family, and just getting grounded back into life. So it's good to be back, and yeah, things are unraveling really well.
And how long were you gone from your homeland? You said 17? Has it been that long since you were back home?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a long time, really. I've been back sort of sporadically over Christmas for a little bit, but it's been around 8 years now, coming and going, and the longest I'd be back around 6 months. So I've been very transient over the last few years, but I'm really grateful to be back and to be from here. You know, sometimes it's when you're away from your own home that you really gain a deep appreciation for where you come from and what you have. So.
Oh, absolutely. I totally understand that. That's great, man. Well, are you good if we jump in here into some questions? Do you need to stretch?
Yeah, man,
you need to drink anything? You good?
I'm sweet to go, bro.
Well, also, for everyone who's tuning in, if you guys have any questions for Shay or for myself, please type them in. Say what's up. Just let us know you're watching, and we'll try to respond as quickly as we can. Jay Thomas, I see that you just liked the video. I miss you. It's good to see that you're alive. All right, so Shay, this is my classic question that I ask everyone, and that is, if you were to describe what it means to be a man in one word, what would it be and why?
In one word, that's a great question, Timothy. To sum up what it means to be a man in one word. And I would say present. I think it's, for me personally, one of the greatest challenges in my life is to be 100% present with what I'm doing and how I'm behaving and who I'm interacting with. So being really, honestly present in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's good. And how has that impacted your own philosophy of life and like interaction with life?
Yeah, another good deep question. It's what I've found in my own life as I continue to go deeper into self-reflection. I notice my life going around working in patterns, and a lot of these patterns and conditioning are actually repeating themselves from an early age, from different situations that have happened to me. And when I'm aware of these patterns, then I have the option to consciously choose to, go down that same pattern, or choose to let go of that and choose a more supportive pattern that is, supporting my higher self more than anything. So to be present in what I'm doing, how I'm interacting with everyone, rather than just being unconscious and just going with the flow, and sometimes that leads you to terrible, destructive places.
Yeah, that's good. Also wanted to say what's up to Sal. Sal just gave us a thumbs up a little bit ago. Thanks for tuning in. That's
Sal
really
Dougie?
Good. Sal Dougie? Yeah.
That's my mom. She's watching, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Mom.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Is she in the same building? That's the real question. No, that's really good.
What was it?
Oh, yeah, I was asking if she was in the same building as you, because that'd be funny.
Oh, no. I've been helping my folks. They're transitioning, moving home at the moment. So we've been in this really big transition period, and I've sort of been helping support them on that journey and packing up our, childhood home and bringing up old memories and going into each little cabinet and corner and looking at our past and our history. And it's so easy that, and this bringing it back to that word being present, it's so easy in our mind to get caught up in things that have happened in the past, you know, and I find myself constantly thinking about things going on in the future and wanting to be something and do something and do all of these things, but it's like the only real thing that we have is right now, and just always bringing it back to where we are currently and being grateful for that and appreciating that.
Yeah, that's good. It makes me think of, there's this Marcus Aurelius quote that I love about presence. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah,
it's like one of my favorite things, because being present is a real skill. Yeah, he says the present moment is the only thing of which anyone can be deprived. At least if this is the only thing he has, and he cannot lose what he has not got. And so it's all like, you don't really have the future or the past, you only have right now. And that's the only thing you can really be deprived of. And
yeah, that's good.
Oh man, it rocked me when I read that the first time. I was like, oh. But, yeah, dude, if you ever want to read a good book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, that's a great book.
Cool, yeah, I'll mark that down. One to read.
So a unique part of your story that's recently developed is that you've been a part of this. Is it a documentary or is it just a movie or film?
Yep. Yeah, it's a documentary that's sort of, it's called Liberated: The New Sexual Revolution, and it's been released on Netflix in February, and it really explores the intersection and the connecting thread between our current hookup culture, pop culture, and then it further explores towards the end of the film where we're at in terms of the rape culture that is quite prevalent in our world and has become normalized among our society in many ways. So it's a really fascinating film, and it explores these questions about what does it mean to be a man, what does it mean to be a woman, and ultimately what does it mean to be a human being.
I didn't even know it existed, to be honest, before we jumped on here. I slightly heard about it, looked it up on Netflix, and I mean, it's obviously there. So it's going to be interesting to check that out. What I'm curious about, though, is even though, so you're just kind of, let's say, a normal person. You don't have a strong online presence or anything like that. You've just gone to college, you're traveling, you just got home. And it's like, so to be a part of something that shines light on you and maybe not a favorable persona, how has that been for navigating that for yourself personally? And then like you helped with the rollout of the video as well, did you not? Like you traveled with them?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was just to strip it back to the time of filming. I was like you say, just another guy studying at college. I was an international student in the States, and a group of my friends and I decided to go down to Panama City Beach, Florida for a spring break, one of the biggest parties of the year, and it was tens of thousands of college kids having fun on the beach, and I just so happened to run into a camera crew while we were down there in the middle of our week, and I was with my friends and we were having a great time, going out, drinking, and part of our goal in that trip was to go out and try and sleep with as many girls, and that's kind of what it turned out to be, and it ended up getting caught on camera. And at the time I had no idea that anything would come of this film, or that it would be released on Netflix a few years later, but it was, and I was grateful when the director reached out to me upon the release, and he just let me know the film was coming out. And since my time at university, and since being a part of that film, I had been on a lot of I've been doing a lot of self-reflection and a lot of deep discovery and work on myself, and realizing that the person that I was being and portrayed as was not really a healthy, ideal human being. Really, I was quite destructive in many of my actions without really realizing it. I was kind of just wanting to be cool and wanting to be accepted by the other guys, and just wanting to fit in. So I was doing everything within my power at the time to try and prove myself as a man, to try and gain validation among my peers, and that included going out and sleeping with as many girls as I could, and being, you know, the alpha male of the pack and trying to be the macho man and lead the group and do all of these things without realizing that it completely dehumanizes the female body by objectifying it down to a sexual object. And for me, I had really dehumanized women down to merely a number. It wasn't like I was thinking about their names or who they were or their family. I was purely going out there to try and conquer as many girls as I could sexually, all in an attempt to boost my own ego and boost my own self-esteem amongst my guy friends. And now I look back at it, and the more that I reflect on it by talking about it, I see how shallow it is, and I see it's a really kind of toxic way to be in the world.
Yeah, I find it very common there's three categories that men usually try to prove and find affirmation from other men. It's usually in sexual conquest, physical conquest, or financial conquest. And that's how they try to get acceptance from other men. But I'm curious, what was the turning point for you? Like, it sounds like the filming was kind of the start, but not really. Like, was there a certain occurrence that happened? Kind of like, what kind of tipped the scales for you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's I mean, at the time of filming, I was kind of I was in a kind of a good place, I thought, at the time, but, you know, in terms of being in the world was quite destructive, and it for me, it's continued down that path for a while, and it spiraled out of control a little bit in terms of my drinking habits and intoxications of substances and consuming women, and it just got a little bit worse and a little bit darker. And then I was at the same time playing sports in college, and I was on the receiving end of a couple of sports injuries where I tore my ACL, and it wasn't until the third time that I was really forced to, you know, lie in bed and be with myself and be with my thoughts, and I started thinking a little bit deeper into the trajectory of my life and the current state and what's really possible, and it forced me to stop when for so long I had been running and hiding and trying to cover up all of these things with busyness and numbing through substances, and then once I was like had those injuries, and it was on the third one where I was really lying in bed and I started to really like sit with it and be with it, and I was suffering. I was suffering emotionally, physically. I was suffering. I was in so much pain through the surgeries, and my knees were pulsating, but also my mind and my mental body, which had been abused for a few years, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't. I mean, every dimension of the human being, of my being, I was completely destroying, and it was kind of like the dark night of the soul, where I had gone so deep into it, or deep enough for me, where I was able to really be rattled and wake up from that experience and realize that something has to change, and I need to change. I need to take action in my life and really start to, you know, empower myself to make a difference. And it's taken a few years and a lot of practice and in a lot of different areas to try and really heal from all of those past events. But it's been a fun journey, you know. It's been a lot of ups and downs, and it's I'm grateful to be where I am, and it's really forced me and encouraged me to look back at certain events throughout my childhood that have helped trigger these patterns, and I mean, I'm still currently working through all of those patternings by being present and choosing consciously what actions I want to, you know, partake in, and supporting positive, affirming life goals and career choices and friendships and relationships and people to interact with. So I wouldn't change my past at all, and without that I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm grateful for being alive more than anything, and having a breath and having this moment, you know. So it's been a journey for sure.
So if you go back, let's just say 5 years, and give yourself, let's say, one bit of advice, like, hey Shay, like, I'm gonna slap you in the face here. You need to listen. What would the statement be after you did that? After you slapped yourself in the face and said, wake up?
Yeah, that's good. I feel like the knee injuries was like a real big slap to the knee for me, and that was the wake up call that I needed at that time. And just to be still and realize how amazing and magical life can really be, like in the simple things. To be grateful for and appreciate the small things in my life has been a really big practice and lesson for me, from really appreciating the relationship and being grateful for the love of my parents and my sisters as role models and teachers for me, and really connecting on a deeper level with all living beings, including plants and animals, and being present with that, and loving it more than anything, really coming back to a place of love, because I know inside of me I feel validated more than anything when have been loved, and when I've been appreciated, and when I have been heard, and
of course, yeah.
And so I want others to feel that same amount of love, that abundant love that is out there for all of us, by being present for them and listening to them, and supporting them in any way that I can.
Yeah. So you mean you like want to treat people like humans and help and be treated like a human and be loved and loved?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Sounds pretty
right, man.
Pretty good to me. I like it. So I'm also curious too. Like, yeah, injuries are really bad, and it almost forces you to, like you said, slow down, and you're stuck with just having to be in your brain. Have you made it a practice since then to take time to be still and to like allow yourself to confront those things that you might be regularly running away from?
Yeah, definitely. After the injuries that I incurred, and once I graduated, I spent a couple of years of my life really soul searching and seeking and trying to discover, because I felt like I had been on this treadmill of doing things for others, and I had no idea what really I wanted, and what I loved, and what I sort of was passionate about. So I spent a few years discovering all of that, and it led me to yoga centers and meditation centers, and led me to a lot of permaculture farms and conscious communities, and areas that I was able to really be still and develop a solid practice, and try and build some sort of robust daily practice to tune into what I'm feeling inside my body, and try and understand that, and really feel it, rather than just do something and keep busy, or cover it up, or talk, or get distracted, and just sit and be with it and accept it, and be present with it. And in the mornings I usually get up and take time to myself with a cup of tea, and sit, and I usually like to stretch first and move my body a little bit, do some sort of movement, and sit and be still, and it's a practice that I don't limit to just the morning. I try and take it throughout my whole day, and try and be as present as much as I can, and as much as possible. And sometimes with the chaos of the world that I find myself in, I get distracted with a lot of external influences, and then it's bringing it back to my breath, and really knowing that I'm in control of it, and slowing it down, and trying to be present with it as much as possible, and just observe. So it's definitely a practice, one that I'm still yet to master, but and committed to practicing.
Yeah. Something I do that I really like too is trying to find tension in my body and relaxing those muscles. So like, even if it's like a face muscle, or like my stomach's tense, like I'm like, how can I just relax that muscle? That's a great way. That's a great way that I personally, a tool I use to help myself become present, because it's like, then I'm focusing right here, right now. I'm like, oh, oh, I got a lot of tension here and here. It's fun to just realize that, and then just like let go, and then just be in the moment.
That's good. Yeah,
So
that's good, man. That's really good.
I love those things. Not curious. I'm intrigued. I use curious too much. I'm intrigued to know. Um, have you felt? Do you feel shame about your past? And do, have you worked through that, or how are your feelings about your past? You know, because I could feel like, because you do attribute to being Christian, if I'm correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that culture, generally shame is attributed to pasts like that, even and in the culture itself, let's just say. And so some people would want to. I would love to see people work through that. So I'm just curious, how has that part of your journey been?
Yeah. Yeah, I associated a lot of shame with my actions. Um, when the movie was first released, and I seen myself, and like seen this mirror reflection of the way I was behaving and the things that I was doing, and I was really embarrassed, and I felt completely ashamed of what I had done, and for this to be, you know, showcased to the world through this Netflix platform. I really wanted to be able to accept myself for what I had done and really move past being ashamed of my actions. And it was challenging because coming up for me initially was a lot of anger and a lot of rage and fear, and that was my initial reaction, not to the filmmakers or not to anyone else but myself. I was just really upset that I could let myself do those things and be like that. And it's been a long journey of it, but the biggest thing that I brought it back to was that I can't change the past, you know, I can't change what I've done. I'm here now, and the biggest thing that I can do, I can't continue to be angry at myself and hate on myself and react with rage. I have to be able to really love myself, still at a deep level of self-compassion, even for the things that I had done in the past that I don't believe are right or humble now. I still have to be able to accept that part of myself and that past that I've been through, and really love on that person and accept and appreciate that I was only doing the best with what I knew at the time, and I was just a young, ignorant, lonely and lost young boy who was, you know, searching for validation and love without really being guided on the right path to know how to express it or how to give it and receive it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example or point for everyone who's watching. Like, your past doesn't have to hold shame over you for the rest of your life. Like, you can overcome it, you can work through it, and you can move on and move to a better place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I've observed in Christian culture a lot, though, that shame is a very strong, or guilt, let's just say, can really hang over people and imprison them mentally. So that's why I'm really encouraged and intrigued by your desire for being present in overcoming. Like you're saying, like it's just the past, and like it is what it is, and you're working through it and moving forward. So I can props to that. David just said, forgiving ourselves is such an important path to growth. Yeah, I think that's so true. I think forgiving ourselves and loving ourselves, I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah. So I hope I'm not pushing too hard.
No, it's good, man. It's good. I love talking about this stuff.
So, man, do you think that men do sexual conquest out of a place of insecurity and seeking validation? Do you think that's a normal thing?
I think it has. It's really fascinating to explore like sexuality in so many ways because I am a human being just like yourself, and part of being a human is we have the capacity to be sexual as well, and it's something that, you know, on one level has the potentials and naturally is created for life, but has a lot of other sort of roles and uses, but also in the same aspect it has a tremendous capacity for harm and issues around rape and sexual violation and domestic violence. All of these things wouldn't be an issue if sex meant nothing. So to me, it's like being sexual. I understand that when I look at my past and when I was extremely sexually active, I was, really insecure and wanting to seek this validation by having a lot of sex and to prove myself as a man amongst my peers. And I started to play this role as the player and the cool guy and the guy that would get all the girls, and I, you know, put that mask on and played that role to the best of my abilities, and I continued to sleep with girls and, you know, go on all of these dates and do all of these things, and it wasn't really serving myself or the women that I was interacting with, and it became a means to fill a hole in my own sort of heart, and it was, to me, the definition of hollow, because I was looking, I was hollow inside, and I was looking to external sort of people and substances and everything to try and fill that hole, and I was really trying to consume and just caught up in that whole lifestyle, really. I dug myself a deep hole.
Yeah. Something I've been recently propagating is when you get in those places, or when you're going through a hard time in life, leaning on others for strength. And so were there any individuals in your life at that time that you were able to lean on or pull strength from when you were in your, let's just say, lowest moment?
I'm grateful that I've got a really connected family and loving family. They've always supported me and cared for me, but I had a hard time opening. One of my kind of life challenges, I guess, is to really be honest with how I'm feeling, without worrying about upsetting the other person. So really being vulnerable in my space and what's going on for me, and being okay with sharing that with others, and really expressing that to my full capabilities, because I found myself, even if things were going on inside, I would put on this front that everything was cool and I was confident and I was all good, but really there was so much stirring inside of me that I wasn't able to really express and let out. I would just let it really fester, and over time it fermented and kind of boiled me up inside, and it was always playing on my mind. But I was grateful for one of the girlfriends that I had in my early teens. She was always a really solid rock for me, and always there for me and to express things. But I didn't really have so many male friendships. I had a lot of male friends and people that I would surround myself with, but we didn't, I would say, male mentors that were able to guide me in being intelligent around my emotions and my feelings and how to express them in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So that was probably one area in my life that was really pivotal and key that was missing.
Yeah.
That I never really had, and I had a lot of coaches, and I'm grateful that my dad is still alive and we have a great connection. But I also, in that period, especially since I was 17, I was away from home for so long. I never really had that person that I could really look up to, who would mentor me and guide me in more healthy, whole sort of ways of being.
Yeah. And has that changed as life has progressed? Have you been able to find more close friends to let you in?
Yeah, definitely. I'm so grateful with the circle of friends that I have now. I've got some really great mates and a community of men who get together every Thursday for men's circle, where we can discuss about what's going on in our life and really, be in a safe container where we can open up our feelings and explore what feels good and what feels bad, and identify them in our bodies, and help each other work through tough situations, and just support one another in that place of being vulnerable with other guys. So it's I'm also grateful for all of the men who have played the role of teacher and mentor and have helped guide me to be and live a more whole life.
Yeah. And have you seen a correlation in your own life of when you've had healthy friendships? Are you usually more emotionally stable or sound?
Yeah. Yep. I would definitely say there's a direct correlation there.
Interesting.
Also, that I found that what I was putting out there, where I was emotionally, is what I was getting in reflection with the people around me. So it was almost like I was at a place of quite profound brokenness, and I was attracting similar people into that environment who maybe also felt, as I felt, really insecure and anxious at times, and needing to do all of these things, keep them busy, and with lots of girls and drinking lots of alcohol to try and cover up all of those deeper emotions.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm just thinking. I might disappear in thought here.
No, that's cool.
No.
Yeah.
So, if you were to now describe to me what healthy masculinity is, how would you do that?
I think to be a man is a real privilege, and men, I believe in equality for men and women, but there are some distinct differences in hormones and testosterone levels and things, and I think that being a man comes with great responsibility. So for me, one of the biggest lessons is to be a man is to really be accountable for all of my actions, and take full responsibility for my actions and my life and the things that I've done and where I'm going. And I feel a healthy man is present-minded, is honest and able to be vulnerable, expresses his emotions openly, and really authentically cares for others from like a deeper place within their heart. And I feel like for a man, one of the biggest things we can do to really prove our masculinity is to be an agent of humility. And when when I've made a mistake, put your hand up and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, and let that be okay, and just releasing the ego and surrendering to the truth of our existence, and where we are as a society and as a human being. I think there's a lot of different elements to being being a man. And ultimately, I feel that men, I'm personally here to help protect and serve women rather than, try and sleep with all of them, which is a big shift in mindset and journey that I've been on, and I'm constantly learning and seeking ways to try and get better at listening to women and what they need and what they want, and try and serve that and serve them, because they are the womb bearers, they birth our children.
It's true. I mean, we cannot have kids.
Yeah.
But what about this though? So oftentimes in life, people seem to swing the pendulum, right? So you were in college, you were insecure, you were, let's just say, on a sexual conquest, and now you're on the other side of the spectrum. Do you think you've overcompensated, let's just say, in life? Is that something that you've ever considered? And I know it's a little controversial, let's just say, but I'm just curious.
No, that's good, man. I appreciate that perspective, and my life, when I reflect on it, has been quite extreme on one end and then extreme on the other end, and I'm probably searching for that balance in between, and really seeking comfort in that balance. And I feel like I'm sort of over the hump of the most extreme on the negative view, and I'm still seeking and learning how to find the most equanimous balance of life, and trying to follow that path, and just listening to my own heart and tuning into my own space that feels good for me, not what society expects, or not what I should do in terms to please others or to please communities or be accepted among different groups, but to really listen into my heart and do things out of a place that is integral to what I believe and what I feel is right. I guess it's never easy to navigate all of these world issues or self issues, but I think we're here to support one another, and I love having conversations like this, and I respect everything that you're doing, man. I really love that you're opening up conversations like this and with other men to the world. We have all the technology at our fingertips, and you're harnessing them and using them to make a difference and change the world. And man, I totally respect you 100% for that, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I'm going to bring it back to two things. The first thing is I don't think you will ever find balance in life. The world is not made of balance. It's made of opposites. You have water, you have fire. You're not water and fire. You're not, I don't know what's another. You're not light or darkness. I don't know. It's made up of being these extremes, and that's what creates the balance, I guess. But then also, I have a story in my head that, for me, if I was in your situation, I would find myself overcompensating on the other side to try to make up for what I felt the damage I had done. And I might hold part of myself back out of coming back to that place of shame. And I'm just I'm putting myself back into the shoes of where I was at, let's just say 5 years ago, and the mentality I had. And so that's why I'm prodding and kind of curious to kind of hear how you navigated post all of that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just kind of, I'm intrigued.
That's good, man. I feel the same. I think the world is created on these dualities and extremities of positive and negative and dark and light and yin and yang, so to speak. And I guess there is a certain part of me that feels responsible to use my story, so to speak, to help other people realize that we're not so different, or there might be some similarities that we can sort of help one another to ultimately free all of us out of a place of darkness and a place that is not serving to anyone but kind of degrading to other people. And I've realized now that my purpose in life is to help revitalize and be life-giving and support other human beings and life forms to thrive and live abundantly. And I think there's so much more to this world that I haven't even tapped into yet, and I'm excited to really open up and unleash even further, the true possibilities of abundance that is like right there, ready for us to tune into. But I hear what you're saying, and there is a certain part of me that is working to make up for lost time, and almost like I'm working in overdrive to really make up for the past self that was degrading. But at the same time, I've come to accept that it will happen, just to be really practice patience with it and go slow with it and do one thing at a time and just accept and be present of what's going on currently for me, and just work through that.
I can respect that and appreciate that reply. Well, we're getting kind of far along here. I think we're going to wrap it up with my usual ending question, which is, what is one fun fact about you that most people don't know? And I'll answer this for myself too.
Okay.
Just to end on a lighter note.
Yeah. Do you want to answer it?
Yeah, I can go first, and then you can go.
Sure.
When I was like 5 or 6, I was terrified that a grizzly bear would break through the walls of my house and eat me when I was a kid. I lived in Pennsylvania when I was that age, and there's not even grizzly bears there. So I have no idea where that thought came from. But it was there.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, this one is this is kind of more recent, but we had a bit of a staff meeting the other week, and we were going around and sharing the same question. And I'll share the same answer because it's kind of funny. And I guess a fun fact about me is that I hope to be a garden gnome one day. I really love being in the garden and playing with the plants. And everyone was like, "What would you like to be?" And I said, "Oh, I'd love to be a garden gnome." And they kind of all looked at me like, "What the hell? Who is this guy?" And we all had a laugh. But I just love being in nature and planting productive, edible plant species around and working with nature rather than against it, and supporting life more than anything. So
that's awesome, man.
That's a fun fact. Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Well, thank you so much for letting me interrogate you and ask you a million questions, and for sharing part of your story with everyone who's watching. If people feel like they want to reach out and get in touch, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, I'm open to communicating through Facebook. That's a really effective, efficient way I find in our modern world, and I'm used onto it pretty quickly. I'll do my best to get back to as many people as I can, and I'm happy to keep this conversation rolling, with anyone that wants to chime in. So feel free to reach out. Yeah,
and if you're feeling like
awesome, bro.
Anyone can comment too. Just let us know what your thoughts were, and we'll try to be in touch. So Thank you so much for
Sounds
being
good
on
to
and
me.
giving me your time, Shay. I really appreciate it.
Dude, it's been a pleasure. And how can I help support your projects and everything that you've got going on?
Yeah, so sharing this video on Facebook is a great way, and also just checking out the website, themaneffect.com, and finding any material you like and sharing it if you can. That's a great way just to get plugged in and help me out.
Certainly, bro.
Awesome.
No worries, we'll do.
All right, well, I'll
Take
talk to you
care, brother.
soon.